camera settings. Pause right here and grab your camera so that you can put these settings directly into your camera, so the next time you head out to shoot, you are ready to go. In your triangle that you have, that is your ISO, your shutter speed, and your aperture. All these things work together to add light or take away light to your photo. ISO is the sun on. What it does is it digitally magnifies the sun that's coming into your photo. The ideal ISO is as low a number as possible. So 100 to 1600 is kind of the happy range for ISO. The higher the number, if you get up to 3200 plus, you start adding noise or grain to your photo. It starts getting pixelated and it's not nearly as pretty. The way to bring the light up is how long your shutter is going to be open. So this right here is your shutter. And what this does is it tells your camera how long it needs to expose your photo. So watch how fast this shutter will release. This is 4, nice and slow. This is 40, way, way faster. That is how you will freeze action. If you're working in low light and your shutter has to be open for a while, you're gonna wanna use a tripod, because otherwise your photos are going to end up being blurry and you're going to lose the crispness of your photos. So you want your shutter to release and be as quick as you can so that you can grab the light without it being blurry. Aperture is how wide open your lens will be. The more wide open your lens is, the more light is going to come through. But what this also does is creates a shallow depth of field, so that what's in focus is just going to be right here on their eye and maybe even the back of their head, and everything behind them becomes blurry. Now that makes beautiful artistic photos. It's one of my absolute favorite ways to shoot photos, but you need to keep in mind, if you're shooting a group of people, then what you need to do is focus on the people in the front row, up your aperture to f16, and that's going to help everything else, everyone else, be in focus so that you're having a more broad depth of field. A couple of other settings that I think are really important to input into your camera will be this guy, Selective Focus. Move around the little dot that you have. That will be your focus point. You're going to place that little dot on someone's eye when you're taking photos, and that's going to make that the sharpest point in your photo. This is where you tell the viewer where to look. Whatever the most crisp part of your photo is where the viewer wants to look. So make sure that if you're doing portraits, that is on their eye. The next setting is called AI Servo. Big flashing lights. This is super important if you're photographing children. You want to put the setting into your camera called AI Servo. What that does is it allows your camera to continually focus. So as you're moving around taking pictures and your subject is just bouncing around having fun and they step back half a foot, you've got that shallow depth of field in your camera. So all of a sudden they're completely blurry. AI Servo, the way it works is you half press and you focus just like any other camera. But the cool thing is if you keep your half press, you can continually focus. So you just keep that dot on their eye and you focus, 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 focus. So when you get that very thoughtful look on their face, you capture it. So you are ready when it's there. And the last setting would be continuous. So you want your camera to be able to continually snap pictures over and over. If I hold this down, it's going to shoot, shoot, shoot. This is specifically for children. I mean, I always leave these settings in my camera all the time, regardless of who I'm shooting. But where it makes the biggest difference is when you're photographing children, because they're fast and slightly unpredictable. There are a lot of things you really need to think about when you're shooting in manual mode. There are a lot of things that need adjusting in order to make sure you have the right amount of light coming into your camera. I shoot in aperture priority mode because my priority is shallow depth of field. I want those really blurry backgrounds because I think that is the most beautiful photo. That's my personal taste. You need to find out yours. Aperture priority mode on a Canon is AV. On a Nikon, it's A. Thank you guys so much for watching again. I hope you enjoyed this camera settings tutorial. If you have any questions at all, please post them in the comments. Let me know how this is all working out for you. Tag me at capture.create.explore on Instagram. And like always, be sure to subscribe and click the bell for notifications. Thanks, guys. Enjoy.